Good morning. Today, I would like to call to order the August 4th, 2022 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners Business Meeting. Chair Smith and Commissioner Fisher are joining us virtually today. And as you can see, I'm in between my two colleagues, Commissioner Savas and Commissioner Schull. Basically, I would like to remind all participants, including staff, all elected officials and members of the public, that Robert's Rules of Order will be enforced in this business meeting. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. General public comment will be taken at the usual allotted time. I would like to ask Commissioner Schull to lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. Administrator Schmidt, could you please tell us what is up first?
Yes, we'll actually start with a roll call. So Chair Smith, while she's present, she's asked Vice Chair Schrader to lead the meeting, which is why this is happening today. First staff support today, Tony Mayernick, Clerk to the Board, Stephen Madcore, County Counsel. On Zoom, Commissioner Fisher.
Here.
Thank you. Chair Smith.
Here.
In the room, Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Commissioner Schull.
Here.
Vice Chair Schrader.
Here.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioners. We're starting with your only item today, which is consent agenda. Tony, would you please read the consent agenda?
Today's consent agenda includes multiple items. Elected officials, item 1, approval of the July 28, 2022 business meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners. Item 2, approval of amendment number 1, increasing funding of a contract with Employers Overload for payroll services for temporary election workers for fiscal year 2021-2022. Amendment value is $142,912.39. Contract value is increased to $222,912.39. Funding is through user fees. No county general funds are involved. This is for the county clerk. County Council has been struck. Human Resources, item 1, approval of 2022 agreements with Providence Health Plan for administrative services for Clackamas County's self-funded medical benefits. Total value is $26,981,400. Funding through contribution and fees paid by county departments, which may include county general funds, employees, retirees, COBRA beneficiaries, and other agencies contracting with Clackamas County for employee benefits administration. Health, Housing, and Human Services, item 1, approval of a grant agreement with the State of Oregon for shelter services, infrastructure, hygiene services, and homeless outreach. Grant value is $2 million. Funding is through the State of Oregon. No county general funds are involved. Finance, item 1, approval of an amendment increasing reimbursement rate for expenses under an infrastructure contract with the Oregon Office of Emergency Management for projects related to Oregon wildfires and straight line winds. Amendment value is approximately $170,000. Total anticipated revenues are increased to approximately $1.5 million. Funding is through the Federal Emergency Management Grant. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of a public improvement contract with Apex Mechanical LLC for the Public Safety Training Center Makeup Air Unit and Exhaust Unit Project. Contract value is $643,900. Funding is through budgeted county general funds. Item 3, approval of a goods and services contract with Johnson Controls Incorporated for the Red Soils Campus Heating Cooling System Preventative Maintenance Services. Total contract value is $644,679 over 5 years. Funding is through budgeted contracted maintenance funds, which includes budgeted county general fund support. Vice Chair Schrader, that concludes the list.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
All right.
We approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
All right, colleagues, is there any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Schull.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Schrader.
Aye, it is approved. Now, Gary, what's next?
If you would now reconvene as the Development Agency Board, please, Chair.
Okay. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Development Agency Board. All right, so Commissioner Schmidt, move us forward.
Yes, next is the Development Agency Consent Agenda. Tony, would you please read the consent agenda?
Development Agency consent agenda has one item, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Water Environment Services relating to sanitary sewer improvements in the Lidwin Avenue Improvement Project. Agreement value not to exceed $1,078,790, funding through Water Environment Services. No county general funds are involved.
Okay, colleagues, does any commissioner wish to remove any items? Oh, okay, so none? No items, all right. Can I have a motion?
I move for approval of the Development Agency consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, clerk will call the poll.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Chair Smith,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schrader.
Aye, it is approved. Thank you. All righty. Next, we will adjourn as the Development Agency and convene as the Water Environment Services Board. What have we got on that consent agenda, Gary?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Next is the Water Environment Services Board Consent Agenda. Tony, would you please read the consent agenda?
Water Environment Services, there are three items. Item 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Gladstone for maintenance of the 82nd Drive Pump Station. Agreement value is approximately $5,000 per year. Funding is through the City of Gladstone. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Gladstone for rehabilitation of the 82nd Drive Pump Station. Agreement value is approximately $728,075. Funding is through the City of Gladstone. No county general funds are involved. Item 3, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Clackamas County Development Agency relating to sanitary sewer improvements in the Lidwood Avenue Improvement Project. Agreement value not to exceed $1,078,790. Funding is through West Sanitary Sewer Construction Funds. No county general funds are involved. Vice Chair Schrader, that concludes the list.
All right, colleagues, do we have anyone that wishes to remove anything from the agenda?
Nope.
Okay. Seeing none, may I have a motion, please?
I move we approve the consent agenda for Water Environment Services.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Commissioner Savas and seconded by Commissioner Schull to approve the consent agenda. Can we call the poll, please?
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Chair Smith,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schrader.
Aye, it is approved. So Gary, we will now adjourn as the Water Environment Services Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. I am in the correct place in the script, am I not? Thank you very much. All right, now we have the time, I believe, when we have public communication. This portion of the agenda shall be limited to items of county business, which are properly the object of board consideration and should be nonpartisan in nature, as the BCC is a nonpartisan governing body under the Oregon Revised Statutes and County Code. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes. Comments shall be respectful and courteous to all. As a reminder, you can email submissions for public communication at bcc@clackamas.us, and these will be accepted as part of the public record. However, we will not be reading them at the business meetings due to time constraints. I will now open the meeting for public testimony, and I have two folks here today. I have Mr. Les Poole and Mr. Paul Egder. And gentlemen, if you both want to come up at the same time, that's fine, or you just want to decide who goes first? Okay. Welcome today.
Making me sit by this guy?
Oh, yeah. Glad you're both here.
He's
Nice to
probably
see
here
you.
on the same subject as myself, so I'll go first.
Oh, okay.
Les Poole, I live in the county. I'm a regular visitor here, as you all know. I haven't been here in weeks, and I know you all missed me, so I'm back. I noticed in the Northwest Connection an article or a submission, an interview, I would call it, of Commissioner Savas on the budget. And there's lots of demand out there, and I don't need to get into all the details of budgeting and what's gone on in recent years, but at times we've exceeded what we thought we were going to have coming in. Whether or not the budget itself is legal or passes state statute doesn't necessarily mean that fiscally we're in a good place. So we've got a lot of concerns about money and inflation, and I know it's a subject that's probably on everyone's mind. Dropping the price of gas 20 or 30 cents might feel good, but the average citizen out there, resident, even visitors, we're hurting. We're feeling it, and that's a message that I don't need to go any further with. The other subject I had, of course, is transportation. And I don't often give my resume, but I have a background in material handling, logistics, and considerable experience with land use planning and transportation. So when it comes to the tolling issue and some of the transportation decisions and spending, I'm well versed in that area. There's a lot of confusion about how this tolling concept will work because there's two things going on. And I think ODOT has been very disingenuous with us. And when I say us, I mean the public as well as elected officials here. Tolling to pay for increased capacity, such as adding the lanes to the bridge, Abernathy Bridge, if they were going to expand and add lanes to 205 to eliminate the bottleneck, that is a purpose for tolling that has been used and is currently honored by the Federal Highway Administration. What ODOT is seeking is to use some of that, but in the same time frame, get an eventual approval to charge us to use existing lanes. And rather than put all of the money into the highway or whatever is being tolled, they want to put the money into a magical bottomless pit, as we like to call it. So they are working on a 2-year test project. After 2 years, they can apply to the Federal Highway Administration and to the Congress for eventual approval. In the meantime, there's a petition out there that would require a public vote on that. So a public vote would probably end the idea that this congestion pricing, that charging us to use existing lanes is a concept or a way for us to appropriately spend money. So I encourage folks to be careful about what you're hearing, sign the petition, and be aware that there is tolling that's currently authorized and legitimate, I'll call it legitimate, and then there's this concept that ODOT and Metro are pursuing that I think is very inequitable and needs to be voted on. So as always, thank you.
Well, thank you for being, nice to see you again. Mr. Egder, nice to see you too.
Thank you very much. Commission, Chair, Vice Chair Martha Schrader. Citizen comments, to me, one of the issues that is kind of on my bucket list of life is to come up with solutions to homelessness and housing and shelters. And this $2 million grant that you're getting from the state right now should not be determined by bureaucratic worlds. It needs to be out in the open. It needs to be reviewed by citizens. And I appreciate so much this opportunity to be on the Citizen Action Board for the county. And I would love very much, I don't want Clackamas County ever to be like Portland or Multnomah County with tents everywhere. The environmental implications of people in Clackamas County, right in Newell Creek Canyon, where they're camping and there are no sanitary facilities. And this is happening everywhere. So yes, I care about the environment as much. I care about human life equally. And I think we need to have this out. We have facilities. I've sent some information in talking about how we can create shelters, affordable shelters that appear good, look good, and that psychologically can make a hell of a difference in people accepting them or even moving into them, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. We need to have something that attracts homeless people with as that grant identifies, with all of the support things. We also have money coming in from the OxyContin
Right.
settlement. That money could be and should be used, because a high percentage, we all know that, could be 70% of the people that are out there have some type of drug or mental health problem. We just need to be able to not kick the can down the road. And one of the most important elements of this is to breaking the grip people have on a shopping cart and bringing them in and having the staff and the people and time to where we can communicate with them, where we can try to provide them with something. And this is one of those bucket list items in my life where I want to try to make a difference and try to do something right that saves lives. Okay? I'll stop off of that. The next thing is this tolling thing that they're trying to shove down our neck, where there are no options to mitigate it, or is a killer. This means that with diversion over there, and so read the spec, they want to strangle, suppress all movement of vehicles. They want to get you out of your car, everyone out of a car. No one's using transit, and we don't even have transit. Transit right now is at 6 to 8% of pre-pandemic ridership. They're losing millions on operating costs to revenues coming in. But the problem is, it doesn't work for Clackamas County. And what we need to have in Clackamas County, and they need to know, ODOT and OTC, is a contingency fund to compensate all of these businesses that will be bankrupt with diversion and clogging of the roads. Maybe it's $200 million for Clackamas County. Maybe it's more. Because the harm, this will suppress the economy in Clackamas County by 10% on all retail businesses, particularly those in there. When people don't go to shop, why go out to shop when so I have we have this new Park Rose hardware. You know, I don't want to go over there. I will never drive from Oregon City to that. I will not go to a coffee shop. People, it's to suppress all of our movement. And I can't hook a little red wagon up to the back of my bicycle. Okay? That's not practical to go to the store or do anything. So what we're going to do is we've got to come up with a plan. This disproportionately hurts Clackamas County, its citizens, and its businesses. And there is no way to mitigate it. And they need to come up with a amount of money. I'm thinking of Canby. It's not even being studied. And where do those trucks trying to go to market out of Canby, out of the distribution centers, Columbia? They come right up 99E.
I know.
And we don't have, this will stop 99E right at Oregon City. This will kill downtown Oregon City. And if we can't look them in the eye and tell them, hey, baby, you've got to set up a fund so we can compensate our businesses, our taxes, our devalued property, we're making a mistake.
You know,
Thank you. I just hope
you,
you
Mr.
understand this is they don't even care. They seem like they don't care.
And I'm gonna thank both of you for coming. I've been liberal today with time because I haven't seen both of you in a while, and it's nice to see you both again and listen. And I know Commissioner Savas, I was going to ask Commissioner Schull as well to maybe comment, and then if Commissioner Fisher and Chair Smith feel the need to as well. But Commissioner Savas, you have worked a lot on this as the transportation liaison, and Commissioner Schull is now working on the impact piece of what you've just been talking about with tolling. So what's your comment, Commissioner?
Yeah, well, just briefly, thank you, both of you, for being here today and drawing attention to this. And HB 35 was passed last year, and as a result, our governments, ODOT and Metro in particular, are now crafting the policies wrapped around, they're embedded in HB 3055. So what's really hot and current right now is that they are, again, crafting these policies and with these goals. And of course, this is not just for the 205 section, but for the whole, from all of I-5 and 205 within the metro growth boundary. And I've stated many times that, okay, if you're going to start doing this, do it in a place where you can accomplish these goals, right? And the goals being mobility, the climate, equitable mobility, transit services, revenue generation. I mean, they have a whole series of lists of things that they're going to do or they want to achieve. And like you said, the basic principle of tolling for capacity is tried and true. It works. I don't dispute that. It's the congestion pricing piece where they just charge us for, in perpetuity, for roads we already paid for. But along this particular section, the challenge is we're not going to meet the climate goals because there's no alternatives. It's about change behavior. You mentioned pulling the wagon. It's about forcing people. They're saying that. It's about you need to change your behavior. There's other alternatives. Well, along this particular 6-mile stretch, there are no alternatives. It's unfair. So if you can't achieve your climate goals, if you can't achieve your mobility goals, and your only solution is for low-income people to maybe give them a discount or a free pass, then you're not accomplishing your revenue generation goals to pay for the project in the first place. So this project that was $500 million and now it's $750 million, the I-205 project, is ballooning into billions of dollars to administer all of these programs. They don't achieve their goals, and the cost of this toll project will exceed the cost of the 205 project in whole. So you got to ask yourself, if it costs more to do it, why would I do it? Right? So it defeats the purpose. It's antithetical. It's unfair. And frankly, they need to start somewhere else and give this area an exemption until they level the playing field and provide the alternatives and the transportation network that everywhere else in the region's been rewarded with, and we have not. They have said no and have not expanded, whether, again, roads and transit. And we're left here as a special case, as like, it's unfair. It doesn't make any sense. So that's where I think we have some ground to stand on, and we need to, and we are, our staff and the board are working hard to make these points. And so I want to thank my colleagues for hanging together on this. But we need to push a little bit harder as time goes on and recognize the complexity of this, and not just get wrapped into a solution that's not a solution. As I said back in 2018 when this first came up, we don't need to create a problem. We're creating the problems we don't need to create. And you don't have the solutions to fix the problems. They just have more problems. Their solutions are really actually layer the problems. It's a 6-layer cake of problems.
Oh, that's a good metaphor. I like that one. Commissioner Shull, you working on MPAC? What's been going on there with
thank you.
these issues?
The tolling idea is a freight train that's been started down the tracks, and without a lot of input from our cities and our counties in the region, we've been asking the same questions of ODOT for as long as I've been here. And we keep getting the answer, we're working on it. The thing about it is, when it comes to roads and bridges, the people pay for that one way or another through their taxes. And the thing about using tolling to pay for highway improvements is probably the most expensive way to do it. Why? It's because even ODOT expects that every tolling dollar, 80 cents will be required just to pay for tolling overhead and administration. That leaves 20% of every dollar that could go to actual improvements to transportation infrastructure. So tolling is a very expensive way to pay for highway improvements. If the Oregon legislature had the wherewithal, I believe there's decisions that could be made there to pay for highways without tolling. Tolling could go on for as long as all of us will be well and gone by the time tolling stops, once it starts. The other thing, too, is I was going to talk in my comments today at MPAC. We heard from ODOT and Metro on the low-income toll report. They realize that some people will be impacted so badly by tolling that they might not be able to play. They might not be able to move through this area. So that's an example of ODOT looking at trying to mitigate a problem. But the fact is that everyone, every family, no matter what their income, will be impacted by tolling, and every business will also. Every interstate truck coming through here, every business that's based in Kansas City who has traffic coming through here will be impacted by tolling. So I have done some looking at this issue of an alternative to tolling. I spoke to Mr. Edgar last week on it. I spoke to Les Poole about it, too. I believe that tolling is an idea that was poorly thought out, and it will end even more badly. And we need to go back to the drawing board, to our state legislature, and relook at this whole issue. I thank you, gentlemen, for coming in here today and for your ideas and your continued perseverance in bringing to light the problems with tolling. Thank you very much.
And thank you, colleagues, for your work on JPAC and MPAC. They're doing a great job, and I was really glad to give you MPAC. I've been doing it for too long, so it's been a great transition. So thank you both. And I know Chair Smith is here and Commissioner Fisher. I'm curious if you have any comments about the housing issues. I know that Mr. Egder talked about transitional housing. I believe there is something in the works.
Martha, my hand has been up for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't see your hand, Tootie. I apologize.
I know.
Vice Chair,
I know.
I've lit my light is on so that we could tell you that. See the lights?
Oh, yay. Okay, there you go. So my bad. Yeah, Chair Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about the opioid settlement issue that was raised. Clackamas County will be receiving $13 million over 10 or 15 years. It will be front-end loaded with approximately $5 million in the first year or two. And quite frankly, that's not barely make a dent. There's been tried and true remedies on how this is to be used. I'll cite Johns Hopkins University as how to combat the opioid use in jurisdictions. There are rules, Paul, that we have to abide by. As you know, we never get free money. We always have to answer to someone. Also, in the previous policy sessions, or it was issues this week, I don't remember, you can go back and look. Rod Cook has brought forward to us an idea about how to go out and gather input from the community on how this should be done. And of course, you're always available to see that. But combating opioid use or any drug use in the county is going to be extremely difficult, even with the seemingly large amounts of money that were won in this opioid settlement. But I will caution everybody that $13 million over 10 to 15 years for Clackamas County will barely scratch our surface, although I am thankful for it. And we will start to do it the best we can. And thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Fisher, have you got any comments right now before we move on?
I just appreciate the conversation on issues that are at the forefront on all of our minds regarding our housing and homelessness crisis, and also what's happening with transportation, congestion pricing, tolling. We have to work really hard to speak in a strong collective voice, and being part of the solution, both of you being here engaging is ever so valuable, and I really appreciate it. I also appreciate the hard work that was done in putting together our Clackamas-centric homeless services plan, which is our local implementation plan, which really creates the high-level blueprint for how we are moving forward, and it addresses what we need in Clackamas County. So it's nice to hear the consensus about that, and always having input and connecting on these as we move forward is really critical. So thank you, Vice Chair Schrader, for asking the question and allowing me to comment.
Thank you. Well, it's actually our friends here today who helped stimulate the conversation. And now, Tony, I have to ask, is there anyone else on the line that wishes to comment?
I do have 2 registered to speak at this time. I will call on Heather Ray. Heather, please state your name and area of residence. You will have 3 minutes. Heather, you are currently muted. We are unable to hear you.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Please state your name and area of residence. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Heather Ray. I live in unincorporated Clackamas County on Ina Avenue. And I am commenting today on the expanded recycling services. I wrote down my comments, so I will begin reading now. So during this whole process for deciding whether Ridwell will be allowed to operate in unincorporated Clackamas County, the Solid Waste Commission received communication from hundreds of unincorporated Clackamas County residents, clearly stating that they want their expanded recycling and reuse services to continue through Ridwell. There were so many that all of them didn't even fit in the initial packet that was provided to the Board of Commissioners. So knowing this, it seems clear what the residents want. And from the presentations made to the Solid Waste Commission by the franchise haulers and Ridwell, it's also clear that Ridwell has a better command of what is wanted by our residents. The presentation by the garbage haulers was really scant on details, I felt, and did not provide the same reuse services and engagement of community partners for the reuse of goods. Having listened to the debates among the Solid Waste Commission members, I think the range of services provided by Ridwell was not completely understood. Ridwell comes to their customers' front doors. Excuse me, a little nervous, gotta take a breath.
No worries.
So our front doors are private property, not the curb. It's not bulk curbside recycling, really. They also provide lots of reuse opportunities for the items they collect. In my personal opinion, I feel like it's kind of just not the business of the garbage haulers what items I give to someone on my front porch for reuse, like as long as those items aren't illegal, right? So having watched the relevant presentations and read all of the packet materials, it's clear to me that the haulers didn't really have a plan to expand services until competition entered their turf from Ridwell. I don't believe they will do as good a job or deliver the quality our citizens want at this time. Having attended the meeting where the Solid Waste Commission's recommendations were voted upon, I'm also dubious about the makeup of the Solid Waste Commission itself and the fact that the garbage haulers and friends of the garbage haulers are allowed such influence over this process and allowed to keep competition out of Clackamas County to their own benefit. So I am asking you to consider my comments during any decision-making processes regarding expanded recycling waste services. And I also want to thank Rick Winterhalter for honoring all of my requests for information, and thank this commission for hearing myself and all of the unincorporated Clackamas County residents who simply want to participate in a unique service to help the environment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Hey, Gary, do you have a question? Ridwell can subcontract, can't they, with franchise haulers?
Well, they could become a franchisee if they wished,
Oh, so they could still.
or they could, there's many options available to them if they
So
chose to
there
do
are
that.
options, that's just what, and yeah, Commissioner Shull, you wanted to say something as well, I know. Yeah.
Yes, Heather, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good morning, Heather, and thank you for your call. The board has received so many positive letters and emails from people across the county who really appreciate Ridwell's services. You might recall yesterday when the motion was taken to allow Ridwell to become a franchisee, I voted no, and I want to tell you why. The reason is that I felt that it would be better if we just licensed Ridwell and not require it to become a franchisee, because as a franchisee, there's a lot more details that we need to deal with every year or so with franchisees. We already have 8 franchisees in the county who take care of waste and recycling. Ridwell is a specialty organization that's taking care of those recycling needs that the other franchisees don't do. And so to franchise Ridwell is not so important as the other franchisees, because somebody who finds that Ridwell prices increase to the point where they don't like it, they can just stop the service and still have garbage and recycling at their curb. So that's, again, I really appreciate having Ridwell in Clackamas County, but again, the reason for my no vote yesterday was because I felt they should be licensed and not required to become a franchisee. And thank you, Heather, for your call this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner Shull. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, thank you for your comments, Heather. I've talked to a number of people that were like yourself. I haven't talked to you in particular, but have proposed, the continuation of Ridwell services. And so what I've got out of that, what I've extrapolated out, seems to be the theme, and I mentioned this yesterday, is that there are people that want the service, want to see the stewardship of making sure that these byproducts are disposed of properly, cradle to grave, if you will, so that they're handled, not just picked up. And they also, what I realize, they like the convenience, whether it's curbside or whether it's at their doorstep. I didn't really drill down to that level. But it's not our job to really, yesterday, it was not our job to really pick a company or pick a favorite. It's really about making sure that all citizens in all geographic areas of the county have equal access to that. It's not about, you look at the recycling and environmental aspects, it's not about the urban parts of our country or our planet. It's about the entire the entire planet, or all the boundaries, or within the boundaries of the Clackamas County is our authority. My point is, geographically, as I heard the staff report yesterday, it sounded like perhaps Ridwell was not interested in a franchising out in a county-wide area in which there will be requirements to serve all citizens equally. So, in taking into that account, again, the stewardship of serving the entire county, I think we need to have policy. That's what the franchise is all about. We don't make money on the franchise. It's not about us getting revenue. It's about assuring that those services are provided to everyone, and that's the strength in the backbone of what the franchise principle is on waste collection. Granted, I mean, it's probably fair to say that the interest in here, a couple of years ago when our waste haulers or China was no longer taking some of these plastics, it created a problem that Ridwell filled. And if these requirements are going to be a burden onto whoever are the franchisees, we understand that. But there again, the responsibility and the stewardship to provide those services is what I heard people really want. And again, it's not our job to pick a company. It's more making sure that the service is provided to everyone. And I think that's what I had in mind when I voted yesterday.
Okay, thank you for that. Gary, I see is that for?
Chair Smith has
Chair
her
Smith.
hand raised.
Chair Smith, I'm going to just keep looking to Gary to make sure and then I don't know if Commissioner Fisher is going to say something to wrap us up. All right, Chair Smith?
Thank you, Martha and everyone.
Yeah.
There's a point of clarification that I think needs to be had. And I agree with Commissioner Savas when he was saying people want this service. These people can still get this service under the franchise system. And my question goes to fairness and equity. Why would we license one company but require all other garbage collectors to be a franchisee? That is not good public policy. Redwell or any other company who wants to offer a boutique, very expensive curbside service to pick up certain items that are recyclable still can operate within the county's existing rules and ZDOs and codes. And I believe our decision yesterday on that vote allows for that. So if Ridwell or any other company is saying Clackamas County isn't allowing us to do that, that is grossly inaccurate. But I want to thank Heather for calling in so I could make a point of clarification on that, and I do appreciate citizen communication.
Right. Thank you. We're communicating today a lot, aren't we? Commissioner Fisher, do you have any comments before I move on to our next speaker for public comment?
No, I don't think I have anything to add
Okay.
to the commissioner comments that have been stated already. Thank you,
All right.
Vice Chair Schrader.
Yeah, I'm just trying to follow the lights here in front of me, and some of them are popping up and some of them aren't. So I'm trying to be conscious that we all want to say something. Now, Tony, we got somebody else who wants to talk?
At this time, Chris Mack, please state your name and area of residence. You will have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Chris Mack. I live in unincorporated Clackamas County. And first of all, I would like to say that I support everything that Heather said. Thank you for taking my comments. I am a former user of Ridwell, and I was disappointed in the vote yesterday. However, I am glad that the haulers will be taking other materials that they don't currently take, and I hope it is soon. I also hope that they take things like batteries, wine corks, threads, crayons, Halloween candy, and other things as Ridwell did. The unfortunate part of this is that a company that was fulfilling a need that has been, let me try that again. The unfortunate part is that a company that was willing to fill a need has been sent away. And again, I thank you for listening to my comments. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you for calling in. We really appreciate your input. Colleagues, I don't think we have any more comments. Hopefully, we've said what we're going to say about these particular issues. So, I will say that it's time to close public communication of this portion of this meeting, and we will move on to our next item. And Gary, can you tell us what's next?
Actually, Tony, Vice Chair, Tony needs to ask if there's anyone else who did not sign up who
Sorry.
wants to speak.
Yep. Thank you. Tony, is there anybody else?
If there is anyone who would like to provide public comment, please use the raise hand feature at this time. Vice Chair Schrader, I do not have any hands raised.
Oh, great. Now you can take it away, Gary.
Thank you,
Okay.
Vice Chair. Next is County Administrator update. That's me. I like to use my time to share the good news of the work of our county employees and our programs. Today, I will share good news we received for our county parks team, in particular our staff that work at Fayrer Park outside Malala. Walter Hull is a member of the County Parks Advisory Board, and he wrote this to our staff. We stopped by the park and all the visitors were having such a good time. The front gate attendant was happy and professional, and we noted several employees all in uniform and very busy performing their duties. The restrooms were clean, the trash was picked up, and the staff was at their very best. Please compliment the staff for me. We are so very lucky to have the parks and the great leadership, which makes so much difference. Thank you, Walter, on our committee for that nice note, and for our county parks team for their strong work. Next, Melinda, a resident of the county, wrote in to recognize several county staff for their good work. First, Melinda worked with our staff dealing with Melinda's leaky roof, and Sarah Zachary from our Health, Housing, and Human Services Department offered loan and grant programs to help Melinda, and Melinda was very grateful. Next, there was a mapping issue involving a homeowners association, and Melinda reached out to Tara Thorison from the surveyor's office and John McDowell from Technology Services. And Melinda wrote to us, "These employees give this county a great name and reputation and raise the bar for public employees. They were positive, professional, and great listeners to figure out what it is I wanted. I hope they are acknowledged by board members for being the face of the county. We're in good hands. I just thought you should know." So now that I've told you, commissioners, I thank these employees, all our employees, for their excellent work. I know you would as well. That is my update for today. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thanks, Gary, and let's encourage folks out there. You know, we live in turbulent times. Sometimes we can get kind of bogged down in things that aren't making us happy. Let's make sure, I really want to thank the people that wrote in, and folks out there in Clackamas County, contact us and tell us what we're doing right. Okay, we're always striving to figure out what we're doing wrong, okay, or what we can do, or the fancy word is continuous improvement, okay? So this helps us too, just as well as telling us what we need to improve. But Gary, let's just encourage people to tell them what we do right, because we've got great staff here that works extremely hard for that. All right, now it's time for Commissioner Communication. Colonel Shull, you are up.
Yes, good morning. On forestry, here's something for private forest landowners, loggers, and forest operations companies. The Oregon Regional Forest Practice Committee is going to meet next Wednesday, August 10th in Salem. They'll also be on Zoom. This Regional Forest Practices Committee is a panel of citizens mandated under Oregon law that advise the Oregon Board of Forestry on current forestry issues and forest management approaches. Under Oregon law, a majority of committee members must be private landowners, loggers, or forest operations companies. And you can see that meeting on forestresources.committees at odf.oregon. Again, that's next Wednesday at 0800. Next, I'd like to thank the folks in Happy Valley. Last couple nights ago, America's annual night out against crime, I was there with Oksana in Happy Valley. I'd like to thank Mayor Tom Ellis and the Happy Valley City Council and Emirate International for what was a fabulous evening. I had so much fun. Emirate International sponsored the band and the laser light show, and every time I go to Happy Valley, I find a very beautiful city that I very much appreciate. Thank you very much for a great night. On energy and the climate, recently, the Eugene City Council voted to ban natural gas in new residential buildings up to 3 stories tall. And they also looked at limiting natural gas in new commercial and industrial buildings. And I want to bring this to the attention of the folks in Clackamas County and our cities. Natural gas is our cleanest and most affordable fuel for heating our homes and businesses, and also for providing energy for many commercial functions. If we allow our businesses to innovate, that is how we're going to find ourselves moving away from high carbon outputs and into a situation in the future where we have less impact on the atmosphere. For an example, there's a process called pressure swing absorption, where carbon dioxide and other impurities are removed from the natural gas stream, leaving essentially a pure hydrogen, a much cleaner fuel. So again, allow our businesses to operate and to innovate. Let's not tax them or restrict them into a situation where we're not going to be able to make improvements in our environment. Let's see here. On tolling, Mr. Edgar and Mr. Poole talked to us about that today. For citizens who want to learn more about the draft low-income toll report at ODOT, you can see that at oregon.gov/ODOT/tolling and learn about that and see how tolling is going to affect many of our people in a very negative way. Be aware, be informed, and make your comments, please. Finally, we spoke here earlier about Ridwell. I would like to welcome Ridwell and your services to Clackamas County. I appreciate it. I also enjoyed reading the many, many communications from citizens that had very glowing remarks about Ridwell and their service to the community. Finally, I want to make one little quick comment on homelessness. I read an article this morning that said that every night in Portland, some 260 beds for the homeless go unused. Mr. Edgar commented this morning about the need for projects that would be attractive to our homeless people to use. And I'd like to remind the county that the county staff, our housing people, are working on trying to come up with projects to provide safe, off-the-street places for our people to stay who are currently homeless. And one of the things I like to put a bug in everybody's ear, right next to the Veterans Village is 10 acres, which I believe would be very conducive to the kind of project that Mr. Edgar mentioned this morning. So businesses, churches, nonprofits in Clackamas County that are interested in helping us out with building some of these projects, contact our housing people and let us know what your ideas are. I appreciate that very much, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Commissioner Shull. That was fantastic. Commissioner Fisher, you're up.
Thank you, Vice
Vice
Chair
Chair.
Schrader.
Vice Chair, I don't want to be chair.
Vice Chair, I really appreciate it. And I am so thankful for this virtual option that we have today. And I'm sure Chair Smith can attest to the same. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate being able to see my colleagues. And I just want to say that we've got a lot of work to do. And keeping our eye on the prize of where we all see what we need to do in regards to what's happening with our transportation system, what's happening with housing and homelessness, substance use disorder, and really working to support children and families through recovering from this pandemic in regards to the supports they need. And I know, Commissioner Schrader, you're right there doing the hard work on childcare and getting our business community involved. We have a lot of work to do. I do want to share with my colleagues, I had a wonderful conversation with the Regional Arts and Culture Council this morning. It was pretty inspiring, talking about the different public projects, such as our courthouse, that are coming on board, and how we will be able to integrate arts and culture through these projects, which are really exciting, because in this time when it seems like there's so many things that we struggle with in all the challenges and the problems, there are these opportunities, these little gems, which we get to focus on and facilitate things that bring our community together and create a little bit of light and a little bit of beauty. And Commissioner Schrader, along those lines, I really appreciate your comments of, yes, we got to focus on all the problems. We got to come up with strategies. We got to come up with solutions. We got to work to resolve all those challenges, but also recognize the successes. We've done some really remarkable work. We've done some remarkable work in Clackamas County with the support of our amazing staff and our community. So let's say great job to all, and thank you so much for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you. Chair Smith, would you like to speak next? Did you want to go last? It's up to you. You are the chair. I'm just,
No, that's fine.
oh,
Martha,
okay,
that's fine. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you.
okay.
Likewise, I'm glad to be able to call in today. I came down with a cold really fast yesterday, so I opted to stay home. I'm negative, however, but it's obviously very contagious since I caught it. I didn't want to spread it around. And thank you for allowing me to Zoom in. It's been a good meeting. And goodbye to all.
Well, thank you, Chair Smith, and I just want to say that, I joke, I don't want to be chair because it's such a Herculean job, and you're doing a great job. Thank you for really working so hard. It's a pleasure. But okay, colleagues, I'm just going to say a few things.
Chair Schrader,
Oh, yes.
you skipped over me.
Oh, my stars, I'm so sorry. Oh,
No worries.
Mr. Savas.
worries.
Okay, go for it.
No, I know it was not intentional, of course.
No, it's
Of
not.
course.
I'm just, you know me,
Yep.
sometimes.
You're doing a great job.
I'm in a different
Yeah,
universe.
but you're doing a
some
great
days,
job today, so I appreciate the dialogue and the free flow. We've had some time here for full discussion.
Yeah,
I
this
appreciate that.
has been good. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I want to make my comments really around, I want to thank Mr. Edgar for bringing up one particular thing I haven't had a chance to address yet, and that was the issue about the homelessness plight, the needs out there. And I do appreciate work that the region's done and some of our members have done to get a plan together. I think Commissioner Fisher had touched on that. But what's lacking really in that plan, it's a regional thing. We've said it over and over and over again, and to talking with people continuously, especially in the emergency responders that I spoke to on Tuesday, the constant clamoring or need for a place to take people that are in crisis, that need to be detoxed, family members even asking, I need somewhere for a particular family member. Treating that person is not working. They are not going to, they're going to be out there on the street wandering around. They don't want to come home. They want to be around their friends. They want to have access to, their particular drug, whatnot. And that's unfortunate. They need to break that cycle. And in order to break that cycle, some folks require detox. Some people require mental health stabilization and identifying what meds they need to stabilize, giving them the hope. And hope might be the inspiration of either an opportunity for employment, getting themselves connected to the world again through mail, job opportunities, all those things to make people successful. But they need to have access to all those things. And that's what shelters can provide, transitional shelters provide, is access to those services. But again, for those that are deeply addicted to particular drugs or alcohol, some of those folks, detox is needed, facilities are needed for that, and again, the mental health facilities. So that's something that is missing in this region, and I think we probably have more resources available for the time being, probably than at any other point in time that I can remember, and yet there's really not a lot of movement in that regard. So whether it's the opioid settlement monies or it's the state monies that they have in excess, or whether it's a combination of that and supportive housing services monies, after a while the talk wears out. It's about action. It's time to walk the talk and get it done. And we have, usually in September, in the latter part of the year, we have our legislative work agenda setting for our staff for the upcoming legislative cycle. And I think that we need to up our game more than we've ever done it before. And, we've come up short on region-wide solutions on some of the bigger issues at our District 8 meetings. That's unfortunate. Try to make momentum there, but we need to actually act. We actually need to come together, and that can't just be one county or jurisdiction alone. Though, again, I do want to find out how Lane County pulled it off. Lane County has a facility like that, so I'd like to have more information on that, how and why they were so successful. And if we need to emulate that, then let's do that. But doing nothing is not the solution. And I won't say patronizing, that's not the right word, but to just allow people to continue on that same path and give them you know, the either council or the meds as needed when we find them wherever they happen to be in the current mode or on-site medical. That's better than nothing, indeed. I won't deny that, but it's not breaking the cycle, and I think that's really what's needed. We got a great model for a veterans transitional shelter. We just take that model, whether it's the particular location that Commissioner Schultz cited or a couple others that I'm aware of. I think we have a great opportunity to provide that transitional shelter and get those folks connected to permanent housing, but more importantly, get them connected to hope, because that's going to move them to the next step they need to go. So that's what I have for today, and thank you, Commissioner Schrader, in your capacity today.
Well, thank you too. I'm sorry I missed it. You know,
That's all right.
I depend on you guys to keep me on a linear path, okay? It's not my forte some days, right? In any case, I actually want to thank all of you because of you and your support, I had an opportunity, and I know Commissioner Fisher was there too, to go to Adams County, Colorado, for the National Association of County Conferences. I was privileged to be given a chairmanship of a national committee with the National Association of Counties, and that is Community Economic Development Workforce. I believe my colleague Commissioner Fisher also became a chairman of the Human Resources Committee, so I hope we'll be working together. And why is this important? One of the things I want to tell our public here in Clackamas County, that one of the reasons counties across the nation got ARPA dollars, American Recovery dollars, directly to counties was because the work of the National Association telling Congress at that level that we are the boots on the ground and we are where all the action happens, and that we asked that during this time that we, as one of the government entities closest to the people on the ground, actually get the dollars first to help all of our citizens, not only here in Clackamas County, but across the nation, to recover from the pandemic. And remember here, not just the pandemic, wildfires, ice storms. You know, I kept wondering when the asteroid was going to hit on more than one occasion. Heat domes, there's just a lot of things we're facing. And I want to tell you, the dollars that we have gotten, we put towards business recovery centers. We have used it for housing. We have used those dollars judiciously and in a way that is really helping our community through all the crises that we have suffered this last year, and the National Association helps us get there. I'm hopeful that as we move forward that our county will support our commissioners to continue to do further work at that level. We need someone, colleagues, that is on public lands. We need someone who is on rural agriculture and resources or resiliency because of our wildfires. We need someone who is interested in a rural action caucus. We already have those of us working on a large county caucus, large urban county caucus. We get to do both because, frankly, it's what we do. I mean, we're urban and we're rural, so we have both of those. And what I find at these breaks that we take at the legislative meeting, and then the DC trips that we go on, we convene with our colleagues across the United States. We talk about best practices. We share ideas. We come back and we make it happen. And most importantly, we have the ear of our of Congress, quite frankly, that gives us an opportunity to really participate on that bigger level. And one of the suggestions, colleagues, I'm going to make is that the National Association has our steering committees that puts forward legislative agendas from everything from healthcare to public safety to workforce to rural lands to secure rural schools. And we also have our own lobbying arm here to make sure that we're getting what we need for things like roads. And so I'm hopeful we can look at all of that information and see where we align with the national level, because then we can really continue to get things like ARPA dollars here to help our folks succeed in our county. So also, thank you, colleagues, for allowing me to be a team and allowing me to go and do this kind of work. I really, really appreciate it. But I also want all of you to be able to participate. And I just want to say to our public here in Clackamas County, it's a good use of our time. Not only do we get a break and see and hear new ideas, we also can come back and work, I think, with our staff much more. You come back, you're energized, you have new ideas, and I think it's helpful for everybody. So thank you guys for letting me do that. I appreciate it. And Gary, anything else we got?
No.
Nope, I already talked too much too. So we are going to adjourn.